duty after I see those things to follow it up, just to make sure that things are as good as it. That's why we made the appointment with the doctor to see whether your medication's actually working or you actually want to take it anymore and different bits like that. Because if we take things at face value and then leave people and they become more unwell, it's not good for them. So whatever our actions are, Ben, we're trying to support you. I want you to sort of know that what we're trying to do is help you feel better. So there's no sort of ulterior motive. We're not desperately trying to get you into hospital or anything like that. It's just about trying to support you to stay well, and that's sort of our role, really.
Yeah, I understand that. I just don't really even know why I was sent to hospital last time.
Okay.
So that's one thing. The second thing is the mosquitoes weren't imaginary. I talked to my mum about trying to hire an exterminator. Like probably hundreds of times because it was the kitchen. They were crawling with them, so I'd have to dive into the kitchen and dive out all day and keep the door to the living room shut. It's one of a series of pranks that I can't really get anyone to take seriously because I don't know who I would call in that instance. If you imagine you believe somebody's released mosquito eggs into your house, it's not necessarily a police matter.
Well, I would say it probably is. I would be very
Yeah,
annoyed.
yeah, but
I think it probably comes under harassment.
yeah, but
maybe
it's
some sort of assault, maybe if they're biting you.
it's
I don't know.
extremely hard to prove that it wasn't a natural occurrence, if you think about it.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying.
So
It's hard to
it's
prove someone's planted them unless you've got
yeah,
it on video or something.
yeah. That's basically what the police tend to do. Even with the information, they can't just sort of note it down and create the evidence for a pattern. So it really does people over if they don't have the necessary security measures and the means to catch criminals like that. So I understand the concern from if somebody says that they have
Well, I think about it. I've only met you once, and it's a snapshot into you, isn't it? I've met you very briefly at the door, and that was it. So
but there is the problem where like I have mentioned that I'm being harassed before, and it's obviously not been taken seriously because of my mental health status. But this was the whole problem in the first place. I felt condescended to because the problem is that like I can't say stuff and it be taken seriously. So it just makes it regrettable mentioning this stuff to you. It's regrettable mentioning it to anyone because most people don't have to deal with the stress of this sort of thing, and it just makes it worse, and it just takes up more time instead of me being able to bounce back from it. I mean, for instance, now in where I'm staying now compared to that apartment, I don't have a bug zapper, one of those blue lights that the bugs fly into, and my mother swears that it didn't exist in the first place. We used to have a cheap bug zapper from Amazon. Now it's gone. It's one of those things that really helps. It's almost as if everyone, including her, is taking the mick sometimes. I have to do all of these things. I have to. Well, I don't have to. It was part of my thing where, like, as a backup to physics, which I flunked out of at uni, I was going to do politics, and because of what I found out, it's kind of above my pay grade, and these people want to do this to me. It's not fatal, unless I got malaria, but it's just one of these things. It's like, when I was a kid, my foster brothers and sisters would give me lice or something. It's weirdly standard for somebody of my tax bracket, to be honest. It's the sort of thing impoverished people probably have to deal with more than we'd like to admit, because it's embarrassing, and it's just hard to understand from a new perspective. So, yeah, but it's also one of these things that was the problem initially. Like, I don't get respected as telling the truth. I've always had a rough time of that in the first place. I'm not sure what kind of discrimination it is, but it's always ticked me off.
So Ben, with regards to the visit this afternoon, are you happy to be seen by the crisis team? If I don't go.
What is it? What is it?
It's just because we still haven't seen you since I last saw you. So it's just to ascertain. It's just to, because when we speak to people over the phone, it doesn't always give us the full picture of what's going on. So it really is just because you contacted the crisis team. They said they'll come out just to speak to you. So it could be at the doorstep again. With just a conversation to it, because you missed the appointment with the doctor, and then see where we go from here. Because I think you don't want to be under services at all. I would get that impression. Yeah. So before we would close anyone, we would see them face to face again.
I mean, as long as you can guarantee that's what's actually happening here, because I've been fed that line before, and we've gone back and forth.
Well, it depends, obviously, on the conversation. So the purpose of the visit is to see to assess your needs to some degree, which is every visit, really. We're just speaking to people just to see what they need help with, whether they need help. So that's the purpose of the visit. Do they need help? If we see you and think he doesn't need help, he's got capacity to say, I don't need the help, then you can be led towards closure. But that's the only way it'll lead towards closure, because when people don't engage, and I'm not saying this is you particularly, but it can sometimes be an indicator that their mental health actually isn't very good, because usually people engage to then be discharged, and it's a usual discharge. They come to their appointments and say, we don't think we need to see you anymore, and that's it, and we send them back to the GP. When people are avoidant, sometimes that suggests that, and I'm not saying this is specific to you, I'm just explaining why we need to see people.
Yeah, but this has been the case over and over again, and they always seem to find something to drag this out. And I come to the door, like, even if I don't look disheveled, which I assume is what you're looking for, even if the house isn't a mess, etc., etc., even if I tell you what you want, basically nobody's ever given me a reason as to why they want to come back and see me, but they always say at the end, we'll come back and see you. If you have concerns, you've never actually addressed them before you've wanted to re-engage. And I'm not exactly sure what they would be looking for that you can't ask me over the phone right now. I feel like it's just to drag it out so that you have a stable quota filling person to visit. So I'm not sure.
As I said, it's just to, if we were to discharge, it's possibly to see someone face to face, and that's we need to. We try to see people face to face because it's just better for us to understand what's going on with someone's environment, what they look like, etc., their mannerisms. That's why we see people face to face. If you say you're well within your right to say no to the appointment this afternoon, that's
right,
fine.
Right. But
now we've got your number.
Well, you've always had my number. That's strange.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's on there now anyway. So if you don't want us to come out, I can just say the crisis team, the bed doesn't want us to come out this afternoon. That's well within your right to say that.
Yeah, but I assume
and then I can speak to them and say whether we'll offer you another doctor's appointment or not, if you'd like, and then you can choose whether to come to that or not.
And that would be the thing that discharges instead?
Usually, yeah. It's the appointment with the doctor.
Oh, so
Yeah.
so now it's wait, a second ago it was the crisis team coming over. Now it's an appointment with the doctor. Is it either one?
No,
Which one?
what I'm saying is, if you didn't want to see us or the crisis team today,
Yeah.
and what I would do, I would say, okay, well, Ben missed his appointment with our doctor, but I'd like to offer him another one, because I think when we spoke the first time, you were talking about your medication and reviewing whether you actually needed it. So I would offer you another appointment with the doctor, and then you could discuss with the doctor, whether you wanted to be discharged. That was it, basically, because the doctor had the last say on the sign-off for discharge.
So how was I supposed to talk to the crisis team and they discharged me? Which is what we were saying just a moment ago.
You'd be discharged from the crisis team, because you're open to them because the contact over the weekend. So they're two separate teams. So I'm from the community mental health team. Crisis team would come and see you today. If they didn't feel like they need any more involvement, they'd then discharge you. And
Right.
then
I feel like you're being disingenuous at this point. You're just being unclear on purpose. So like, what can discharge me? Because I've already been discharged. At least I've already had a member of staff like Kim say that this was over, and then it wasn't over all of a sudden. And I feel like it's to do with my politics more than it is actually to do with anything. And I'm sure you're going to deny that. That's fine. But I feel like
it's not.
people are sending me round in circles.
It's not to do with your political views at all. It was the reason. So when I first came to see you, and I saw you, and the reason I've been following up and offering you a doctor's appointment is, as I said to you earlier, because I thought you were unwell. So that's the same thing. That's the reason I want to see. And you're saying,
that wasn't the tone you gave
unwell.
me when you actually visited me.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't say anything like that. I didn't think...
because I have to go away and have an actual sort of.
And what was it that made you think that I was unwell?
It's obviously off a baseline.
What was it that made you think I was unwell?
So there was, sort of the marks on your legs. They look like self-harm to me, that you'd done that to yourself. So that's an indicator that I thought you were unwell. You appeared quite anxious when we came to the door. Obviously, that's somewhat natural reaction because you hadn't met us before. And there were when you sort of gave us a lot of history about different things, and you know what we've just spoke about the mosquitoes and different things. So they're the things, and by all means, it's just my opinion.
There's no proof that the mosquitoes weren't real. First of all, second of all, how does somebody?
But Ben, it's just opinion. It's not fact. That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying that was my opinion, but that doesn't mean it's fact, does it? So that I'm just explaining my actions based on my opinion from meeting been doing this work for a long time. That was the basis of why I thought you may be unwell. That's why I arranged follow-up appointments to check that. That's it, basically, to see if you're unwell, and see if any other interventions are needed. You're saying that they're not needed and that you don't want to work with us, okay? And then I'm saying the crisis team. Then you contact the crisis team until they've opened you. So then they've asked me today to do a joint visit to assess whether you need any support. What I'm saying is, if you see the crisis team and they feel you don't need support and you don't want support, then they'll discharge you. And then at that point, if you don't want any support from me, I said I will offer you a doctor's appointment again to be reviewed by a doctor to see if he will discharge you. Okay? So that's it.
Yeah, I feel like it's just a fraudulent, and it's like an abuse of the system. I don't feel...
Okay. It doesn't seem we're making much progress with this, does it? I don't want to force you this afternoon to see me. I don't think that's going to be...
No, but that's where the anxiety comes from. It's I don't really know why I was sectioned in the first place instead of, other precautions being taken beforehand.
Yeah.
And
well, I think the best thing to do is to discuss that with your doctor, to be honest, an appointment, which I can arrange.
Yeah, but I don't like my doctor either, and I actually have signed up for a different surgery.
There's a new one, Ben. There's a new one. I'm talking about here, the doctor psychiatrist here, rather than your GP at Ancaster.
Right. It's just... like, I don't think it'll be in my best interest, and I think you guys have an interest in keeping me on when I'm not supposed to be on. Because I think this whole thing is a waste of time. I feel like you are not listening to me, trying to put context into these things that have made you want to, follow up in the first place. And you're trying to basically communicate to me that there's no way you can say, oh, I was wrong. There's this, and this that is making this seem like this. So, we were actually wrong and we don't need to follow it up in this way. I don't see why that's a thing. It's
Well,
just...
I don't know for sure that I definitely am wrong yet. That's what I mean. That's why we would want to see again to make
Yeah,
sure
but
that
all these reasons you're giving me are completely explainable. And if they're explainable and I've explained them, then why is this a thing?
Because sometimes when we see people, they can mask their symptoms by explaining things.
Right, but you should have to believe me before you follow into these random suspicions of yours. It doesn't make any sense. It's like I'm not even human. Like, you don't have to take my word for it because, you can just condescend to me and that's fine.
Okay. But I'm not going to force you to see me, okay? Because I don't feel like that's going to be productive for you. It doesn't sound like that's something that you want anyway. So we can't force you to do anything. So I'm not going to... But I'll speak to what I'll do is that I'll speak to Crisis Team, see if they'll give you a call to explain their side, and see whether you want to continue working with them. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, and then I'll go and speak to them. I'm not going to force anything on you, because I feel like your sort of liberty's been infringed on by what's been happening so far. I think that's the way we've been communicating in the unannounced visit things, so we're not going to do that now, okay? I'll speak to Crisis, they'll give you a call, you can have a conversation with them. We'll communicate with you what we can offer and what we think we can offer. You can then say yes or no, and then we'll just go from there. Alright?
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Alright. Thanks for talking to me, though.
Thank you for coming through.
Alright. Alright, cheers, man. Alright, we'll be in touch. Okay?
Okay, thank you. Bye.